Hello everybody and welcome back to Dollar Tree Dinners. I have a bonus episode for you guys today. Today is Sunday and I've been thinking about sprinkling in a few episodes of Slow Cooker Sunday. Not something I do every Sunday because honestly, I'm not a big fan of cooking in the slow cooker, but I was thinking about one meal in particular that I used to really enjoy in the before times, and I thought it would be fun to share it with you all today. My big caveat with cooking in the slow cooker is generally that most of the recipes I feel like are very monotonous. They have a very similar kind of taste and texture. There was one crockpot recipe in particular that I used to make because it defied all rules of cooking in the crockpot, and I always looked forward to the meal that resulted from it. That was probably close to 10 years ago, and it's been a really long time since I've made this, so I'm just kind of fingers crossed that it turns out because I'm kind of trying to work off of my very poor memory. But before we make our dinner in a crockpot, today's video is sponsored. So here's sponsor Rebecca to tell you a little bit more about a fun and free game called Cookie Jam. You all know that I am all for anything that's free, especially if it's fun, and today's video is sponsored by Cookie Jam. Cookie Jam is a free-to-play match 3 puzzle game, and it is so satisfying to complete levels and unlock new content. You match cookies and candy to solve puzzles. And the fact that everything looks like cute desserts definitely added to the appeal for me. I love anything with a bakery vibe. It just makes the game extra fun to play. And there are over 11,000 levels, so if you're a completionist like me, you'll get it. That feeling of ticking off each level is so fun. I may or may not have hit level 100 in just a couple of days of playing. They add new levels every week, plus they add limited time events and rewards that make you want to log in daily. There's even a leaderboard so you can compare your progress with friends. If you love games that push you to progress and reward you for wins, Cookie Jam is the game for you. Download it now for free using the link in my description or scan the QR code for exclusive in-game rewards like bonus skins and extra gold. I did find the original recipe that I used to use to make this meal. The only difference is that I made this when I was in my early 20s, and this is for a steak dinner in a crock pot. And the recipe was published online back in like 2013, and I don't know how I originally found it, but when I was in my 20s, I did not make steak dinner kind of money. I don't really even make steak dinners today. But I used to make it with chicken and it turned out fabulous. So again, I'm kind of going off of memory here, but we're gonna try to recreate it to the best of my abilities. In case you do wanna check it out, this is Stockpiling Mom's Complete Steak Dinner in a Crockpot. You can see it was published in October 2013. And that's basically the basis. All of the ingredients are kind of layered together in the crock pot. And at the end of it, you get a protein, some corn, and some potatoes. And the best part about it is it's got some texture because we've got the crispy corn, we've got the fluffy baked potatoes, and then we have our protein. And my crock pot does look a little unique. That's because it's not purely a crock pot. It is a multi-cooker. So it's got a few different rice cooking functions, quinoa, it does soup, saute, then simmer, oatmeal, keep warm. It's got a steamer function and a slow cooker function. Most often I only use the rice and the slow cooker. So when I talk about this, I usually say it's a combination rice cooker and slow cooker because those are really the only two functions that I use. So it's a little unique, but I really like this appliance. It's one of my favorites. I don't have a designated crock pot. The only thing I will say about this is that particularly with the slow cook function, I think it does run a little bit hotter than most traditional slow cookers. So I usually have to cut back cooking times. So if something says cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours, this crock pot will cook it on low in closer to 4 to 6, if that makes sense. Now, as far as our ingredients go, I have some bone-in chicken. I do recommend using bone-in if possible. So whole split chicken breast, or you can use chicken thighs and chicken legs, whichever you prefer if you're more of a white meat or a dark meat person. I have this little assorted, they call it a picnic pack, which I think is super cute. So it's got legs and thighs. And it was the cheapest price per pound at my local grocery store, is $1.86 per pound. So this whole package was less than $7. And I might not be able to fit the whole pack in there. Next up we have potatoes. I'm just using standard russet potatoes because I am going for like a baked potato, and that's how I used to make it back in the day. And then lastly, we have corn. You can use fresh corn or frozen corn. I got some fresh corn today because it was on sale this week. So it's really cheap this time of year because it is corn season. So if you can get the fresh stuff, feel free. If you want to use frozen, also feel free. And really the basis here is you can really use any recipe you want for this base layer. It's just kind of your protein. So if you want to do like pulled pork, if you want to do chicken, if you want to do whatever, as long as it all fits in your crock pot, you can use whatever recipe for the protein that you want. I think I'm going to go with a really basic like barbecue chicken because it's one of our favorites. And I'm going to try to fit as much chicken in the bottom of this as I can without overlapping it too much. I think I'll be able to fit 4 thighs and 2 legs. Since I'm going for barbecue chicken, I whipped up a really quick barbecue rub and I'm going to sprinkle some of that directly on top of our chicken. I will leave the recipe for the rub that I use in the description box below. Then the next thing I'm going to go on there is with some barbecue sauce, just like a solid layer to cover up all the chicken. And then I'm just going to kind of spread that all out on top. All right, so now that our base layer is down, we're going to add on a layer of foil to cover it all up. Layer number 2 is our potatoes. I grabbed a few baking size potatoes. I scrubbed them, I dried them, I coated them in oil and a bit of salt. We're gonna layer those in there too. I went with 5 just because a couple of these are a bit on the smaller side. And then another layer of foil to separate the potatoes from the corn. The original recipe says to wrap the corn in foil, but I have corn in husks, so technically mine's already kind of wrapped in something, and for the sake of not using more foil, I'm just gonna leave them in their husks. I am going to trim off the tops and the bottoms though, so that they're more of a size that fits in my slow cooker. If you wanted to skip this step, you can usually buy like little 4-packs of corn that are already shucked, and you would just have to wrap those in foil because they don't have an outer layer like these ones do. I almost got those, but those were $4 and these were 50 cents a piece, but I do kind of regret not getting those because these are hard to cut through. So as I predicted, I'm only able to fit 3 in this specific vessel. If you can fit more, do more. You could cut these in half too and do like 6 small quarters of corn instead of the 3 big ones. But we are just gonna cover that up. Still latches, right? And we're gonna cook this on low for about 6 to 7 hours. All right, moment of truth, it's been 5 hours. I said 6 to 8 because again, my crock pot cooks pretty fast. Or I guess I should say it gets pretty hot pretty fast, so it doesn't really need like a lot of time to come up to temperature. So I did 5 hours on low, but for a regular crock pot, 6 to 8 should be good. All right, let's see how everything turned out. I'm gonna take out the corn first. As you can see, the husk is a darker color. All right, let's see what we've got underneath our foil. We've got some potatoes. There's some liquid that kind of seeped up from the chicken, so our potatoes are gonna have a bit of a barbecue flavor. But let's take those out as well. And then last but not least, we remove our other layer of foil. We should have our chicken cooked below that. I'm gonna grab a thigh and I'm gonna grab one of these drumsticks. So there's our chicken. That looks fabulous. I'm gonna grab one of these bigger potatoes. Oh, it's still a little raw in the middle. Let's check one of these smaller potatoes, because I had 2 bigger ones and 3 kind of medium-sized ones, and it looks like the medium-sized ones are cooked all the way through, but the bigger ones might need a little bit more time. So just something to keep in mind when you're picking potatoes for this dinner. I'm gonna mash up the inside of my potato just with a fork, and I'm gonna add a couple of pats of butter, a little sprinkle of shredded cheese, and a dollop of sour cream. And next, let's see how our corn turned out, because we cooked it in the husk. And I think you should just be able to kind of slide it out. Maybe not. This could have gone for a little bit longer in my slow cooker, I think. I was really worried that I was gonna overcook it, but it seems like everything turned out perfectly. We're gonna add some butter to our corn, a little sprinkle of salt and pepper, even on the potato. And that's a complete summer dinner in the slow cooker. Let's dig in, shall we? What should we start with first? I think we should start with the chicken first, which I know is gonna be ultra tender, because that's one of the perks of cooking in the crock pot. Let's grab this leg. As you can see, it is fall off the bone tender. It is a little sticky. One added benefit to the way that we layered it with the chicken kind of at the bottom was that the chicken did get a little caramelized at the bottom. So it's darker on the bottom because it had like all those sugars kind of sitting up against it. It's not grilled chicken, but it's reminiscent of grilled chicken because it got that caramelization. So look at that. That's the thigh. And literally just falling off the bone. So you can still get a bit of a charred taste with a crock pot if you use it right. All right, next up we have our fluffy baked potato. I love baked potatoes, and this one is fluffy, it is tender, it is absolutely perfect. It tastes like you baked it in the oven, and what's interesting is, you know how it was kind of sitting in those chicken juices a little bit. It has a little bit of sweetness from the barbecue rub, and it's really good because it's almost a little intriguing. And what we learned is that medium-sized potatoes are the best to use for this specific recipe. And last but not least, corn on the cob. It's probably been years since I had corn on the cob, and it's been at least 10 years since I've made this slow cooker dinner. And I believe in my heart that this is the ultimate summer slow cooker meal, and I hope you guys agree with me. It ticks all the boxes. It's not gonna heat up your house. It is a full course meal that really feels substantial. It will definitely make your family happy. I love how easy it was to put together as well. And like I said, when I used to go to work and come home, this was something I could look forward to eating. And I think it is the perfect slow cooker meal that is not a soup or a stew or just a protein that you then have to come up with like a meal or sides to go along with it. That turned out absolutely fabulous. I am so happy that I tried that recipe again. Let me know in the comments down below, what is your absolute favorite go-to slow cooker meal? Like if you could only pick one slow cooker meal, which one would it be? I need to start using mine more often, so hopefully you can give me some recipes to try for future episodes of Slow Cooker Sunday. And huge thank you again to Cookie Jam for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to download it and give it a try. There is a QR code that you can scan or a link in the description box below. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you again tomorrow.